Hi, this video is on minor key signatures. So we're going to go ahead and talk about how they work. You already know how key signatures work from the major key signatures video, which is great. Minor key signatures are really similar, like you're going to be shocked at how similar they are. So hopefully now that you have that frame of reference, this one won't be so such a new concept to work with. There are 15 different key signatures for minor scales, for minor keys, just the same as there are for major. And they're actually the same key signatures, but not for the same keys. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's look at this one. Okay, so these are our minor scales. And this is how we've been writing them, with sharps and flats, with accidentals. These are all natural minor, by the way. We're going to stick with natural minor for a little bit, so let's just talk about that. So these are all natural minor scales. They follow the pattern of whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. And when you do that pattern, you end up with these accidentals every single time. So this is how we can, obviously you could write a piece in G sharp minor, and you could use all these sharps every time you encounter these notes, but it would be ridiculous. So instead we use key signatures, just like for major keys. So the key signatures that we'll use will be in the sharp key signatures will have the same order of sharps as they did for major scales. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Same order. Flat key signatures will use the same order of flats. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Same. And the sharps and flats are placed at the exact same place on the staff also. So that's also very useful. So if a key signature has one flat in it, then it's B flat. If a key signature has 3 sharps in it, then it's F, C, G sharp. However, the same tonic does not match up with the key signature in the same way, which is obvious, right? Because if you had 3 sharps for major, you would have A major. But that, by definition, means that you cannot have A minor also with 3 sharps, because then it would be a major, So we're going to use the same key signatures, but they're going to match up differently with tonic. So this is what they look like, so we could say, well, which key does have 3 sharps? Well, it looks like F sharp minor has F, C, and G. You might think that it looks like there are 4 sharps in this scale, but there's only 3, because this other one here, this is still an F sharp. So that's just a repeat of the F sharp we already had. So there are only 3 different sharps in this scale. So we know that F sharp minor has 3 sharps in it. So we would say that A major has 3 sharps and F sharp minor has 3 sharps. Whenever you have a major and minor key that share a key signature, just like A major and F sharp minor do, we call that a relative key. Relative minor and relative major. So if I asked you, what's the relative minor of A major? You would say, well, A major has 3 sharps and so does F sharp minor. So F sharp minor is the relative minor of A major, and A major is the relative major of F sharp minor. Now remember, we had parallel keys before, so you're going to have to know the difference between parallel and relative keys. Parallel keys means that they share tonic. So if 2 keys share tonic, their key signatures will be different. A major and A minor have the same tonic, because A is tonic, but they have different key signatures. Relative keys have the same key signatures, and that means that they always have different tonics. So A major and F sharp minor are relative keys because they have the same key signature, but they have different tonics. So this is what all these scales look like with accidentals, but we can figure out how their key signatures work by going back to the circle of fifths. So here's our handy circle of fifths, and the capital letters around the edge tell us our major keys and correspond to the key signatures that are written here. The lowercase letters in the middle of the circle, these are our minor keys. So you'll see that relative major and minor keys are connected with a line through the circle of fifths like this. Some circle of fifths don't do that, but I kind of like how this one does it because it shows that they're attached in some way. They have very similar properties because they share the same notes. So here we have Where is our A example? So here's A, 3 sharps for A major, and the relative minor is F sharp minor. Same exact key signature. 3 sharps, F, C, and G, placed in the same place. Done. So that's really fantastic because you don't have to learn new key signatures. You just have to learn which minor keys match up with the key signatures you already have. There are a couple little tricks to do this, and I'm going to say, like I said before, there are tricks, but you still have to memorize them to be fast enough. To really have the ability to work with these key signatures, you have to memorize them. So you have to be able to say, what minor key has 3 sharps? F sharp minor has 3 sharps, and it has to be that fast. But for now, when you're learning, there are a few little shortcuts that you can use to find the relative key. So now that you already know your major key signatures, you can find your relative minor by going down 3 half steps. From the tonic of the major, go down 3 half steps. So if I have A, and I'm going to go down from A to A flat is 1, from A flat to G is 2, from G to F sharp is 3. So I know that my relative key is F sharp minor. And then you can go the other way. If you have the minor key and you need to find the major key, you can go up 3 half steps from the tonic of the minor to find it. So that's probably the quickest way that we know right now, that we could do right now with the knowledge that we have. Probably the quickest way to find what the relative minor is. Go down 3 half steps from your major tonic and you'll find the minor tonic. Now, I will say this. You could go down 3 half steps from A and you could get a G flat, because G flat and F sharp share the same key on the piano. So how do you know that it's not a G flat? Well, actually, that's just basic common sense, because you can look at the key signature and there's no way that a G flat is incorporated in this key signature. There are only sharps, no flats. So also the G, actually, in this key signature, the G is sharp. So that's like doubly bad. So there's no G flat. In fact, there's a G sharp. So we know that it can't be G flat minor. We know that this would have to be F sharp minor. So you do the counting, and then sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not, and you have to like double check with the key signature. Okay, so that's how you can find the minor key signatures. But like I said, you'll want to eventually just memorize them just like you do for the major key signatures, because then it's just a lot quicker. Minor key signatures also have 3 of them that overlap. So A sharp and B flat, we have both of those have minor keys. D sharp and E flat can both be minor keys, and G sharp and A flat can both be minor keys. We do not have every single note represented as tonic because we don't want to go past 7 flats or sharps in the key signature. If you have more, then you start having more than 1 flat or sharp on a note, and that's too difficult to notate and to play. So we don't go past that. So that's why we only have 15, even though you could technically hypothetically start on like a D flat. You could start on a D flat and have a minor scale, but what would happen is when you got to F, you would have 2 flats on the F, so you would have too many flats in your key signature. So it is important to know that you are a little bit limited in that. But if you memorize these key signatures, then you'll know which ones exist and which ones don't. Let's look at this here. This is an example of all these minor scales that are being written with key signatures instead of accidentals. You'll notice that they're the same exact notes here as in the first example that we looked at, but they're now shown by key signatures. So we don't need the accidentals anymore because the key signatures tell us. So if we look at G minor, there's going to be a B flat and an E flat here. So that means every B and E that we write become B flats and E flats. So in this scale, they've just written it just looks like G to G, but you can say, oh, well, this B, of course, is going to be B flat here, and this E here is an E flat, and that gives us our natural minor scale. So this is how useful you can, how useful it is to have key signatures, because it prevents the necessity of writing all those accidentals. You just don't need to do it. And you still get the same notes that you need. Okay, so like I said, we're only talking about natural minor with this. Natural minor keys fit into the key signature, just like they fit into the pattern. But if we have harmonic or melodic minor scales, those are alterations of natural minor. We are not going to show harmonic and melodic minor scales with different key signatures. We're going to use the same key signatures because it's all the same minor key. Like I would never say, oh, I have a piece here in G natural minor. I wouldn't say that. I would just say this piece is in G minor. And then I know that it's possible for composers to mix the different types in a composition. The scales just show us the different possibilities that we have. But in an actual piece of music, you might see them all mixed together. And that's really, really common. It's actually very uncommon to only have one type of minor in a piece. You usually see them mixed together, partly because a piece usually has melody and harmony. And melody, we're going to use melodic minor for, and harmony, we're going to use harmonic minor. So it makes sense to mix the different types. So for our key signatures here, we all have natural minor scales. If I want to use a harmonic minor scale or a melodic minor scale, then I would take this scale with this key signature and then I would add accidentals only for the notes that I'm altering. So if I wanted to take this D minor scale here and make it harmonic minor, I would go to scale degree 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would go to the C and I would put a sharp on the C because I would want to raise that C by a half step to make it a leading tone. So if I had a piece in D minor, I would have one flat, and then if I wanted to use harmonic minor at some point in the piece, I would put a sharp on the C, and I have to have that accidental to show that. Part of the reason that this is nice is because, well, first of all, you don't have to change key signatures. If you want to have a different type of minor scale, you can just keep using the same one, so that's really handy. But also, we never mix flats and sharps in a key signature. A key is either a flat key or a sharp key, and you can't have both. So in the case of D minor, we would have a B flat, but then we'd also have a C sharp, and there's no key signature that can show us that. So it's really nice to just use the accidental on the C when you want it, and then not use it when you don't want it. If I wanted to make this D minor scale into melodic minor, going up, remember, ascending is when we use melodic minor, so if I wanted to do that, I would change the C to a C sharp because scale degree 7 is raised, but then I would also need to raise scale degree 6. In this case, scale degree 6 is a B flat, and I would raise that to a B natural because a B natural is a half step higher than a B flat. Because of that, I would need to put a natural sign on this. I absolutely have to do that here. This B flat must have a natural sign if I want it to be B natural. If I want the B natural to be a natural, I have to put it on because otherwise the key signature is telling me this has to be a B flat. And so if you want to, you can't just like leave it alone. You have to actually indicate it's not a B flat, because otherwise your performer is going to assume it's a B flat. That's what a key signature means. So if I wanted a melodic minor ascending, I would keep the key signature in place, but then I would put a natural on the B and a sharp on the C, and that would give me my melodic minor scale. So just remember that you always use natural minor is what fits the key signature, and the other types of minor we alter to get there. Of course, you can feel free to use a circle of fifths as you're studying this and learning it and memorizing these. And it's sometimes helpful to make flashcards to memorize these with. You know, write F sharp minor on one side, and on the other side just write 3 sharps, and you'll, you know, and then once you know, as you already know the order of sharps and the order of flats, so you'll be able to write the key signature really quickly that way. So I hope that that was helpful. Remember to practice this stuff. I give you a really quick rundown of it, but it's really good practice to write the minor key signatures out, then write the scale just like we saw. You don't need to change any notes for the natural minor, but then practice doing that and then changing it to harmonic or melodic minor just to see how those accidentals work. It can be really helpful. All right, I hope you guys are having a good semester. We're coming down to Thanksgiving really soon, so I know I'm really excited about it. All right, have a great day, and of course, let me know if you have any questions. Bye.